Hi, welcome to Alla Fedele cooking channel. My name is Fidel. I am not a chef. I just like to cook, and I make a lot of my mom's recipe growing up. They're very usually few ingredients and easy to make. They call it like peasant food type of thing, where she grew up in Italy. So I make a lot of stuff that you can, because I work like everybody else, go to the supermarket, pick up a couple things, come home, make it in an hour and 15 minutes you're eating. And then you're not cleaning dishes till 9 o'clock at night. Of course, that's the last thing I want to do. So tonight we're making mushroom risotto. So I have picked up dried porcini mushrooms, 1 ounce bag, they're dry, and I reconstitute them in water. I brought up to about 200 degrees. Probably, I mean, you can get away maybe at the boiling point. And what I did was, this is about a quart of water that I boiled, almost boiled here. You see how brown it got? And what I did is I opened the bag, 1 ounce, I threw them in. They look like this, dry. It's all pieces. I chopped them already, but I put them in the water and let them, like tea, steep, because I wanted the flavor of the porcini mushrooms that I'm going to be using to make my risotto. So I left them in there for 15-20 minutes. There's directions in the back how to do that, so don't worry. Then I cut up portabello baby mushrooms. They look like this. They come in this small, and instead of the big guys. So I cut those in 3, and I like to keep them a little thicker because the water comes out and they will shrink a little bit. I have a quarter cup of oil, virgin olive oil here. I have a half a cup of onions here. I have about, I want to say, what did we try to measure? About a cup of the porcini mushrooms after I strained them out and cut them up. These and the mushrooms I'll be putting in the last maybe 50, I'm going to do, takes about half hour to make the risotto. After about 15 minutes of cooking, I will add the mushrooms. So in the 3 phase, I'm going to be making this. So if you follow me through this, and then at the end, when I take it off the burner, I add parsley and pecorino romano mixed with a little parmesean cheese, about a cup. That's when it's all done. I just dump it in, I dump the cheese in, I spin it, I let it sit for about 10 minutes, and then it's ready to go to eat. So I'm going to start with the onions.
And it's how many onions, sorry?
I'm sorry?
How many onions?
I would say a half an onion, a small onion that I chopped real small. So with risotto, and I have about a half a cup of marsala wine, which is a dessert wine. Tastes like sweet vermouth. It's kind of sweet. And I'm going to add that after I add the rice in it. So I want to make the onions like translucent, get the flavors out into the oil, and then I will add the rice, and then what I will add is the marsala wine. So how the risotto works is you can't walk away from this. If you got to spend 25 minutes, you got to stay near it, because how it works is you put in the rice, it's dry. This is like Arborio rice, it's Italian rice. And what you do, every 3 minutes, it sucks in whatever you add to it. Water, broth, vegetable broth. But you can eat about almost this size amount. I'm making 2 cups of the risotto rice. I will have everything down below. When you're looking at the video on the right, there's a little V arrow. You click on that, and everything will be in there what you need.
It's in the description.
In the description. For some people that don't know that, just hit on that. So I want to add, the first thing I add once I put the rice in, that it sucks up some of the flavor of the rice and the oil, is the marsala. Because it'll absorb that and it'll be in the rice. It's a nice flavor. It's like making marsala, chicken marsala with the mushrooms and the marsala. I have it on a little high. I will be lowering this all the way down as the rice gets thicker and it starts to really swell. You don't want it to stick to the bottom. So I will be lowering the flame as I go. The first few times might be a little tricky, but you can do it. It's not that hard. Just don't walk away from it. You know, you're going to pour juice in it, you'll see. And after about 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes, you're going to have to add another cup. And you just keep doing that until about 25 minutes later, you taste it. And then as long as it's, soft, the rice, it's ready. That's when you take it off and you add your cheese and your parsley to it.
So what are you looking right now for these
Right now
onions?
I'm sweating the onions, making them a little translucent.
On a high heat?
Yeah, to get it going because we're videoing. I could shut the video and do this, but pretty much just to sweat them, make them translucent. Takes a couple of minutes. And then what we'll do is we'll throw the rice in it, which is 1.5 cups I measured. And that's good for like 6 people, I would say. Easy 4. A cup is usually for 4 I make. Okay, so I'm going to lower it just a little. I'm going to add my rice in it. I'm going to give it a spin. Just suck all the oils in there. And now I'm going to add the marsala wine. Make sure you always keep an eye to get all the rice in there, so you don't want any stuck on the side and then you end up with hard pieces when you're eating it. So the oil is almost gone. I'll add now the little piece. I tested the piece of, it's fine. I put a piece of onion to see how hot the oil was. It's brown. Okay, so I'm putting 1/2 cup of marsala. Here you go, marsala. Wine in it. As you can see now, you can see the liquid. And in about a minute, you're not going to see the liquid. It sucks, the rice sucks it up. And that's the first flavor I want to get into the rice, is the marsala. So when you're eating it, you get that nice marsala, a little bit of that marsala taste in it. Now, this is the way, nobody told me how to do this as far as what I'm making with marsala wine. I just got the idea. That's why my video, my cooking channel is called Alla Fedele, because a lot of stuff I tweak. And you can tweak it too. You don't have to make it the way I make it. My mom gave me a lot of recipes, I tweaked them. And that's why the cooking channel is called Alla Fedele. That came from my daughter because I would make certain things and then I would add capers, let's say, to something. And she would, she's my food critic. She's a foodie, my girl. And she would say, oh, you made it Alla Fedele tonight. So as you can see, it sucked up the marsala. There's no liquid. So that tells me it's time to start adding liquid. And that's how you'll know when to add liquid. So I'm gonna go, let me spin this a little bit.
So you're adding what, a cup at a time?
Yes. Now those porcini mushrooms, sometimes there's sand in them. So you got to make sure, or worms, believe it or not, could be worms in there. You just got to be careful when you open the bag, inspect it to make sure there isn't any. After I boiled it, I strained it. I scooped out the mushrooms with a strainer, and then I took the juice and strained it and let if there's any sand in it. So now, as you can see, I put a cup, and there it is. You see the juice? Can you see that? Okay. Now that'll disappear in a minute. And then I keep adding it. And I do this for about 15 minutes. And then I'll add my mushrooms and cook them another 15, and it'll be ready.
So all in all, you think you'll probably add about 5 cups of that juice?
Maybe more than that. Maybe 6. So we can write it down. Let's get a pen, and I'll write just to see on 2 cups how many cups of liquid you use. So, as I was getting back to saying, my daughter says, "Oh, you're making Alla Fedele tonight." How you can make also risotto is plain. You don't want to make anything in it. Just use. You can do it with nothing. You can do it. A lot of them are started with like oil and onion, and then you put the risotto rice in there, and then you can start adding plain water if you want. I make it also where I did the onions, and instead of marsala, I use white wine. So I'll add a cup of white wine, half a cup to a cup. If I'm making 1 cup of rice, I do a half a cup of white wine. That's white wine is really light. Marsala is a little heavy, so a half a cup was plenty. See how it absorbed it already? So when the bubbles start coming out the top, and it's ready for more. And this is why you don't walk away from it. I'll take another cup. See how dark the water's become? And that's where you get a lot of the flavor from the porcini mushroom, and gives you that mushroom taste. If you don't like the taste of porcini mushroom, these are, they were hydrated and they're very intense compared to the fresh one. Then don't use any of the dried ones. You can just make it with fresh portabello or white mushrooms with white wine. I make it sometimes with just the onions, white wine. I make the risotto, and then I just add 3 long scallions chopped, parsley, and you can use pecorino romano and parmesan. If you don't want it as strong flavor, use just parmesan reggiano. That's a little lighter than pecorino romano. Pecorino romano is the one with the brown on the outside of the cheese. The label comes in a big wheel. And Parmesan Reggiano has just a hard shell. Always use it imported from Italy. Don't use American Parmesan Reggiano. Always spend a little more on certain things. It pays off.
Why is it that you're doing the 1 cup at a time instead of just adding all of the liquid and then mixing it slowly?
Well, because if you put too much liquid, you'll wind up with like soupy rice, So you want to add a little at a time so it absorbs it in.
Gotcha.
And it's not like regular rice, this rice. Regular rice, it says 2 cups. I always put a little less on regular rice. Even like my jasmine, it says 1.5 cups. I'll do a cup, and maybe add if I see that it's almost done and it's not softening up. Because I hate mushy rice.
So you're not adding the rest of the mushrooms and anything until
Not yet.
after you get
Well, I don't want to
closer,
overcook
or?
them. See?
Okay.
So this takes a half hour. I don't want to cook the mushrooms for a half hour. I like them a nice, you know, a little bit of a consistency. Can you add them? Yeah. I mean, again, I'm just showing you how I make it. You make it the way you want. You could try alla whatever your name is. Make it, you know, your way. See, it absorbed it, as you can see. It's really nothing left compared to when I put it in. Oh, piece of mushrooms in there. Huh? Now you see how much liquid is in there?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty soon I'll be lowering the heat too, because I don't want it to stick. And as it starts to swell the rice. And constantly turning it, pushing it down, making sure no rice sticking up. Yeah, and so back to making different types of risotto. I mean, go on YouTube and see. You can make it with seafood. I never made it with seafood because I make my seafood and with linguine. I gotta make that one night, right, Brendan? Gotta make the clams and shrimp, the calamari.
Or check out the shrimp scampi video. I think it's number like 8.
Yeah, check out my shrimp scampi. That one basically you can add clams to that.
Yeah.
You know, put the clams first. Clams need about 10 minutes, and as soon as you start to see them open a little, throw the shrimp in. The shrimp only need about 3 minutes. Don't overcook your shrimp. Shrimp, whether you boil it, put it in the sauce, no more than 3 minutes, or else you lose that snap. You know, that nice flavor. Not flavor, the consistency of the shrimp. They become, you know, mushy, or they just, you know, it's like shrimp cocktail. When you go out and you have shrimp cocktail somewhere where it's that nice snap,
Yeah.
you know, they don't overcook them.
You definitely don't undercook them.
Yeah, so 3 minutes is plenty for the regular size shrimp.
Mm-hmm. So you're getting close to having to add another cup, huh?
Yeah, I can feel it on the bottom. It's starting to stick. So this is when I throw in another cup. So this is what, the 4th cup? We stopped writing it down. All right. Now I didn't add any salt. My salt is going to be my pecorino romano reggiano. Now, you can make this with beef broth and no mushrooms, just beef broth. Saute onions, throw your rice in, and then use beef broth. Make it that way. You can use vegetable broth as your liquid, and that's where you're going to get your flavor. You can use chicken broth. I like using better than bouillon. It's a liquid, comes in a liquid form. When I use chicken, and then make a vegetable. So I don't get paid for this, so don't think I do. But basically, it's fresh. This is beef broth. It's got a lot of flavor compared to the cubes, those little square cubes that you can buy. This comes in for beef. It comes in chicken. You can get the big size. Is the best way to go with the chicken one in Costco. But they only sell the regular.
And that's what you're using as the base of all your stocks, right?
But I didn't use it today.
Yeah.
Today I made it. All you do is for every teaspoon, nice teaspoon, it equals 1 bouillon cube, and they have chicken regular, and it's salty.
Yeah.
I get the chicken low sodium when I use it. I use that one a lot as my base. I'll do sauteed broccoli rabe. I'll saute onions. I throw the broccoli in. I take a glass of white wine, a nice tall glass of white wine. I do 2 tablespoons of the chicken low sodium, and I add it to, I mix it. I put it in the microwave for about a minute so it heats up the wine enough to melt because it's cold. You know, it's in the refrigerator. See how it's sucking it up? And this is what you're looking for. When all the juice is gone, you can feel the spoon on the bottom. It's starting to stick. Now I'm going to start lowering a little. I'm going to go from half up, because it's electric stove, so it's a little different. Living out in the country, you can't get natural gas. You can only get propane or electric. So, lucky me, I got electric, but I've been here 20 years. You get used to it. You just got to be careful with cooking. It doesn't stick. Things could stick. That's when I tilt it a little bit, and then you start lowering. When you're on gas, it's so nice, you know. But with the porcini, when you steep it for about 15 minutes, this juice really intenses the mushroom flavor. Also, I do white wine. I'll do with a little chicken broth. I'll make a batch with the chicken broth. I do the white wine, and then after it's cooked almost, when you get about 10 minutes left, after about 20-25 minutes of doing this, I add frozen peas. So I make it with peas. You can do it with peas and carrots. They come in a bag frozen. But the peas only need about 10 minutes. You don't want to make mush out of them. Yeah. So don't add them in the beginning, you know. Or you can just boil them for 5 minutes. You know, when you get them the way you want them, strain them, and when you take this off the heat, just spin them, put them in. But I like to add it the last 10 minutes. It gives it a little bit of flavor, pea flavor to...
So when it comes to the risotto itself, how do you know when you're done? Is it going to be...
You'll start to see it get this... how do you explain it? It's like a silvery, creamy... It's a creamy look to it. And that's telling me it's almost ready. And you can see the risotto is getting bigger.
Expanding, yeah.
Yeah, it's starting to grow, as I would call it.
So are you taste testing it when you think it's getting close? Or are you going, oh, no, I know this is the size?
No, I will taste it with a fork when it gets closer to being ready. So now it's been going for about, 15 minutes?
A little longer than that, we're at 23 minutes.
Okay, so I'm gonna add a little juice. That's 5 cups. And listen, if you run out of juice and if you didn't make enough of the broth of whatever, just start adding water to it. That's it. I've run out. I made one the other day, and I ran out of beef broth, so I wound up adding water to it. So I'm going to add now my porcini mushrooms.
And the risotto itself isn't done yet, but now you're getting close to the end, right?
Yeah.
Which is why you're adding this.
Yeah. And I'm going to add my mushrooms. They're going to give off some water too. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the juice. So water will start coming out of the mushrooms.
So you almost don't want to wait till the final step to put those in because you want to make sure you're not oversaturating them, right?
Right. So getting back to cutting these mushrooms, I'll just cut them in 3. So I'll take one of these and I'll cut it in 3. 1 and 2. You get 3 pieces. 1, 2. I try to make them all the same. So if you get something like this that's small, cut it in half, because that's about the thickness of the middle of this one, see?
Mm-hmm.
So I do 1 and then 2. So I take the stem off. Get rid of this. And I'm going to throw in some black pepper. Now, I'd say half a teaspoon of black pepper. That's going to add flavor too. Alright, I'm going to add a little more of the juice. Turn it up a little bit. I turned it down a little too low. You can see the top is starting to shimmer, and that's that creaminess. And I'm not gonna have enough marking it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cups so far. I usually this whole quart of porcini liquid, regular liquid, if you're using water or beef or vegetable or chicken broth that you made. I use about that much. It's amazing how much it takes, right? But it's so good. This one recipe my daughter loves. It's an awesome recipe. But if you want something on a lighter side and you want like more cheesy, use water. Don't use any kind of vegetable broth, or you can buy chicken broth that comes in a box. Those are usually high in sodium. And also, that was the other thing. If you're going to use regular bought, boxed, try to get no salt and control the salt yourself for flavor. Because once you add 2 cups of cheese in there, that cheese is pecorino is a lot more saltier than a parmesan reggiano. You're going to make it too salty, and it's not going to be too nice of a flavor. So try to be careful with that. My beef broth is they don't make a low sodium, so I am stuck. So what I do is I'll taste it towards the end, and if it's too salty, then I'll start working with water. So to this, I'm going to add some water because I still need some. So I'm going to add water to that. I'm also going to switch spoons. I'm going to go with the bigger one. I'm gonna give it a taste just to see how it's coming. It's like pasta. If it's too al dente, you know. Gonna need salt, obviously, but I think the pecorino will do the trick. And then what you can do is, after you take it off the fire and you put the cheese in it, if you find, you spin it and you find that it still needs salt, then you can start adding your salt. So now I'm going to lower this because we're getting towards the end. I don't want the bottom to stick too much. The mushrooms are sweating. I watched a YouTube video of a chef in Italy. He had a pot like this and he was like lifting it and spinning it, but it was going up about 2.5 feet in the air, the risotto. He must be doing this for a long time, years. But the way he would take it and flip it in the air, it just came up, spun, and came back in the pot without missing. I was like so amazed by that. So I'm gonna be adding a little bit more liquid. So I had to add water because I was running low on the liquid. So let me just add a little bit, half a cup. I could say half a cup. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. Went 6.5 cups so far.
And so while you're making this, you're usually making something else as well?
Yeah. So tonight I made grilled thighs, chicken thighs. And what I did was I left the skin on them and I rubbed oil all over them. And I put salt, pepper, rosemary, a little bit of garlic powder. And I put it on low on a grill, 30 minutes. Didn't touch them, closed the grill, came back, did another 30 minutes, and took them off the grill just a few minutes ago when the bell went off. My future son-in-law, Brendan here, who's my producer, my editor, my co-chef, bottle washer, and how do they call that? Chief? Chef,
the sous chef,
and bottle washer. There's a saying for that. No, he's awesome. Without him, I wouldn't be able to do the videos on YouTube because that's not my forte. And there's a little bit of work behind the scenes that you have to do. When you video these, then you have to take it and move it on to iMovie. Is it?
Yeah.
And then you have to edit it
yeah.
and take out any mistakes. So fortunately, we haven't made much mistakes. That's why what you're watching is what you get. You know, these are just recipes that either I've taken other people's. I'm not going to take credit for all, but I tweak them to what I feel. Let's say if this had capers. And you don't like capers, don't put them in, you know? You do it the way you want. But this one here is a 10. We've been doing this now 30 minutes already.
35.
35. That's why, and I haven't walked away from it. So if you're gonna make this,
Nice to have a second person helping with something
yeah,
else.
they can make something else. Or if you're gonna make chicken, let's say on a grill or in the oven, it takes now, you need 35 minutes for this, about 35, 40 minutes. So you can, I mean, you can walk away for a minute or two and flip something that's cooking besides it, but you can't walk away too long and let the bottom stick to the bottom of the pot. So, you know, you really need to be here. And that's the beauty of risotto. It pays off in the end, but it makes you work for it. So I'm just gonna taste it again.
And
I would say about 5, and it's ready. So if you want to take a break on video and come back in 5.
And what are you looking for the mushrooms?
I'm not worried about the mushrooms. They shrunk. They gave up their juice. See how they shrunk a little bit? They're not as big. That's why I make them a little on a bigger side, because they shrink.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why I waited like 20 minutes before I added them. And again, depending on the risotto, where you get it from, or there's different types of risotto. And in Italy, they make it 50,000 different ways. Go on YouTube, look at guys making risotto, and supposedly the risotto they use down there we can't get. I don't know what they send us to shit after. I don't know. But they say, you know, the risotto here is different than the risotto there. You know what? I don't know any better than what I get here. So when I went to Italy, I didn't get to taste any risotto in the areas that I was in Bologna. So I had bolognese, the tortellini. That's what they're known for up there. I was in Rome. I had the carbonara, the way they make it there. There's no cream in that. So in certain areas that I was in, that I was traveling, I got to try what they make, what they're known for. Like in Bologna, they're known for their tortellinis and their bolognese sauce. Their bolognese sauce, it has no red tomato in it. It's like chopped meat browned with onion. But over the years, you know, when the Italians came back here from in the 20s and the early 1900s, you know, came here with no money. So they had you know, maybe they couldn't afford the meat as much. So they went with the cheaper meat and they cooked it longer. And then to make enough for a family of 4 or 6, they probably added, you know, plum tomatoes to it and made it into a red sauce just to spread it out more. So you see how it's now, all the liquid is pretty much gone, right?
Yep.
You can see the bottom, see? The bottom of the metal pot, the bottom of the pot. So it's dry. So now it's done. What I do is I take the parsley, I add the parsley in, give it a spin. Now if you don't like parsley or you don't want parsley in it, don't add parsley in it. You could add chopped scallions or add both. This is the time I put the, you know, scallions in, the green part of the green onions, the scallions. And then I add the cheese. A little at a time. I spin it.
That's about a cup of cheese. You did it
Yeah.
half at a time.
Yeah, that, use your judgment. You want it cheesy, more you know, you like a lot of cheese, add a little more. You don't like it as much, just a little bit, then add just a little bit. But this is about a cup I put in. Cup of cheese. See how it dried out?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm just gonna let this rest for 5 minutes and then it's ready to eat. I'm gonna put a top on it, just like you do with rice. Get rid of this. Set a timer 5, and then you'll put it in a nice bowl and then just serve it on the side with whatever you're gonna have. So thank you again for watching my channel, Alla Fedele cooking channel. As my mom would say, mangia figlio mio, eat my son, eat. And you'll see me soon with another recipe. Thank you.